I never thought I would write something like this, but after what happened, I feel that if I don't put it down in words, no one will believe me. I still don't know whether what we saw was something supernatural, or simply something our brains can't fully explain. I was 18 at the time. My name doesn't matter, so I'll call my friends Lucas and Renaa. My parents were separating, so I spent most of my time at my father's house. His name was Eduardo, and he was 47 years old. He was always the skeptical type, the kind of adult who laughs at horror stories and says everything has a logical explanation. His girlfriend, Helena, was 42. She was the opposite. She believed in intuition, in bad feelings, and was always saying that some things simply shouldn't be provoked. The trip was my father's idea. He wanted to clear his head and suggested a weekend in a simple house he had rented through an app, out in the countryside, far from the city. We brought my 2 friends along because he thought it would be better for me not to be alone, dwelling on family problems. The house was near an old road, the kind that almost no one uses anymore. As soon as we arrived, Helena said something strange. "This road, it feels wrong," she said, staring into nothing. My father laughed. "Wrong how? Roads don't have personalities." She didn't answer. The first night. The first night, nothing happened. We had dinner, drank a little, laughed. Lucas, Renaa, and I stayed up late talking in the living room. My father and Helena went to bed earlier. Around 2 a.m., we heard something. It wasn't loud. It was more like breathing. Slow. Deep. It was coming from outside the house. Renaa opened the glass door, thinking it might be an animal. There was nothing there. But the sound continued. Lucas, trying to be funny, said, "Sounds like someone sighing." The moment he said that, the sound stopped immediately. We looked at each other, uneasy, but decided to ignore it. We went upstairs to sleep. The man on the road. The next day, Helena looked tired. She said she had dreamed of someone standing on the road, staring at the house. He didn't have a face, she said, stirring her coffee. It was just dark. My father made a joke, and the subject died right there. That afternoon, we decided to walk farther down the road. That's when we saw a man standing about 100 meters away. He was facing away from us. He didn't move. My father waved. "Good afternoon." Nothing. Lucas took a step forward, and then the man turned around. I swear on everything that is sacred, his face didn't make sense. It wasn't that he didn't have eyes or a mouth. It was as if his features were in the wrong places, slightly misaligned, like a printing error. Renaa murmured, "That's not right." For the first time, my father was silent. The man turned away again and simply walked into the woods, without making a sound. The second night. That's when everything fell apart. At night, the sound came back. But now it was coming from inside the house. Slow footsteps. Not on the floor, but on the walls. Helena started crying, saying she felt something trying to learn how to breathe. My father finally lost his temper. "That's it. Tomorrow we're leaving." But we didn't wait until morning. At 3:17 a.m., the kitchen radio turned on by itself. A male voice, hoarse, began to speak, not like a radio host, but like someone learning how to use a voice. "You heard me. Now I know." The doors started shaking. Lucas screamed for us to run to the car. When we ran outside, we saw several silhouettes standing on the road, all perfectly still, all breathing at the same time. My father tried to start the car. It wouldn't turn over. Helena began to pray. That's when one of the figures approached the window and perfectly imitated my father's voice. "Calm down, it's me." But my father was standing right next to me. We managed to leave when the car suddenly started on its own. We drove without looking back. We never returned. My father never laughed at stories like that again. Helena is still in therapy. Lucas moved to another city. Renaa doesn't like silence anymore. I'm writing this because last night, alone in my room, I heard slow breathing behind me. And it sounded practiced. He didn't stay on the road. He followed me. I thought about not writing the continuation. Part of me believed that if I didn't give it attention, it would lose its strength. But after what happened last week, it became clear that it doesn't work that way. Some things don't want to be forgotten. They want to be remembered. It has been almost 8 months since that trip. We never saw the house, the road, or anything connected to that place again. My father sold the car shortly afterward. He said he didn't feel right driving it. He never explained further. Helena broke up with him 3 months later. It wasn't a loud breakup. Quite the opposite. She simply said, "There's something that came back with us. And I don't want to be the vessel." She started sleeping with the lights on. Moved to another city. Blocked my father on everything. My father went back to being the rational man he always was, at least on the outside. But I began to notice small things. He avoided silence. Slept with the TV on. Left the radio playing in the car. He looked visibly uncomfortable when the house became too quiet. One night, I asked him why. He took a long time to answer. Too much silence makes room for the wrong thing. He never explained what that wrong thing was. The first signs. With me, it started subtly. I would wake up in the middle of the night with the feeling that someone had just left my room. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear footsteps. Just that air, displaced, as if something had occupied space there seconds before. Then came the breathing. Not always. Only when everything became completely silent. It was the same pattern as the road. Slow. Deep. Controlled. Like someone practicing. I started sleeping with headphones on. Loud music. Videos playing all night. It worked more or less. Until the night I heard my own sigh coming from behind me. I was lying down, facing away from the door. I sighed, tired. 1 second later, I heard the same sound. Too identical. Too synchronized. I didn't move. I didn't breathe deeply. I didn't swallow. The sound stopped. Renaa. Renaa was the first to admit that he wasn't okay either. He called me close to 1 in the morning. "Do you hear things when everything gets quiet?" he asked. I didn't answer right away. "Sometimes," I said. He took a deep breath. "He's getting better at it." My stomach turned cold. Better at what? At sounding right. Renaa told me he had been hearing voices using his mother's tone. Not full words. Just breathing, throat clearing, small human sounds. "It's like he's practicing before speaking properly," he said. I asked if he had seen anything. He took far too long to answer. Sometimes, in the reflection of the turned-off TV. The dream. That's when the dream came back. I was on the road again, but now there were no trees. Just darkness all around. The ground seemed to stretch endlessly. The figures were there, but not motionless. They breathed at different rhythms. Some got it wrong. Some exaggerated. One of them was facing me. This time, the face was almost right. Almost. Is it better? I asked in the dream. The thing tilted its head. Observing. I woke up gasping for air. And someone was breathing beside me. My father broke. Everything came out on a Tuesday night. The power went out in the house. Silence fell like a weight. My father stood still in the middle of the living room, looking around, tense. "No," he murmured. "Not now." That's when we heard it. Breathing. Coming from the hallway. Then, his voice. "Eduardo." My father dropped to his knees. "Stop, please," he said. "We've already learned." The thing replied, far too calm. "Not yet." The lights came back on. The sound ceased. My father cried that night like I had never seen before. What I know now. I don't think it was a spirit. I don't think it was a demon. I think it was something empty. Something that doesn't understand what it means to be human, but wants to learn. And we taught it. With our voices. With our fears. With our silence. I'm writing this because today, on the subway, I heard someone behind me breathing exactly like me. When I turned around, there was no one there. But the reflection in the glass showed something practicing a smile. And it was almost right. I promised myself I would not write about this anymore. But a few hours ago, I received a message that made me understand something important. He is not trying to copy everyone. He is choosing who he will become better at. I will try to put everything in order. After the subway incident, I started paying attention to small things, details I would have ignored before. People breathing out of rhythm. Glances that took half a second longer to look away. Smiles that started too early or ended too late. I know how this sounds. If I were reading this months ago, I would think I had gone insane. But then Lucas reappeared. Lucas came back. I hadn't spoken to Lucas since the trip. He had moved to another city, changed his number, disappeared from social media. When his name appeared on my phone, I felt an immediate chill. The message was simple. He copies you too, right? We agreed to meet at a busy coffee. A loud place. Full of people. I needed that. Lucas looked different. Not physically. But there was something wrong with the way he moved. His gestures were slightly delayed. As if he were remembering how to do them. He gets stronger when you're alone, Lucas said, without hesitation. I asked how he knew. Because he tried to stay with me, he replied. And failed. Lucas told me that weeks after the trip, he started hearing his own voice calling him from the other side of the apartment. At first, he thought it was stress. Until he heard the voice get it wrong. He said my name, but put the emphasis in the wrong place, he explained. Like someone who memorized the word, but not the feeling. I asked if he had seen the thing. Lucas took a deep breath. Not directly. But I saw the result. The first exchange. According to Lucas, the thing's mistake was trying to learn too fast. It copied sounds, but didn't understand context. It didn't know when to take a deep breath. When to hesitate. When to pretend fear. Until it found someone else, Lucas said. Someone older. A man who lived in his building. Quiet. Lonely. Observant. He had time, Lucas murmured. Too much time. The man disappeared a few weeks later. And that's when the thing improved. She came back different, Lucas said. Calmer. More precise. I asked why he said, she. Lucas looked around, nervous. Because now she chooses form. Voice. Rhythm. She's no longer a blur. My father. That same night, I found my father sitting in the living room, in the dark, with no TV, no radio. Total silence. Dad. He raised his head far too slowly. Have you noticed how people breathe differently? He asked. My blood ran cold. Dad. Some breathe as if they're remembering how to breathe, he continued. Others, as if they're trying to convince someone. I took a step back. Did you hear her today? I asked. My father smiled. The smile was too right. Who? That's when I realized. He wasn't blinking. The choice. I left the house that night and went straight to Renaw's apartment. I knocked. Nothing. The door was unlocked. The apartment was too silent. Renaw was sitting on the couch, staring at the turned-off TV. She's almost ready, he said, without turning his face. You're too young. She won't choose you. Choose for what? I asked, already knowing the answer. Renaw finally turned his head. To stay. On the TV, I saw the reflection. Something standing behind me. The face, right. The smile, trained. The breathing, perfect. She tilted her head, like someone acknowledging a decision. Not yet, she said, using Renaw's voice. But soon. Why I'm writing this? Because now I know. She doesn't want everyone. She wants continuity. People with routine. With silence. With space. If you're reading this and notice that you avoid silence. If you sleep with sound playing. If you feel uncomfortable when everything gets quiet. Maybe you taught something to her too. I'm going to disappear for a while. Loud places. People. Movement. But I know this won't last forever. Because she is no longer learning. She is replacing. And when she gets it completely right, no one will notice the exchange.